Hello, welcome to everyone. It is fabulous to see you all with us today. Welcome to our first training of 2024 from Bridging Voice. And today I want to give an awesome welcome to Lane. She is one of our newest speech pathologists, starting last year. And this is her first presentation for us. So thank you, Lane, for all of your hard work. I look forward to
5.
sharing this with you guys. Um, and I look forward to you guys learning a little bit about what she has to share about Lite-Tech communication. All right, Lane, you want to go ahead and screen share? All right. So as we said today, we are going to be talking about Your Eyes Tell Your Story, Lite-Tech AAC. Today is January 23rd, 2024, and Lane is going to be our presenter. And Lane, right now we're seeing your
My display.
yes.
Got it. All right, give me just a second, please. Try it again.
Now, perfect. All right.
Are you seeing presenter view again?
Nope, we're seeing the right presentation view. That's perfect. So I will be monitoring the chat along with our Bridging Voice team, answering your questions as we go along. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I will also be dropping the links as well, so don't feel like you have to take notes. And at the end of this presentation, I will be putting the link up as well if you would like a CEU certificate or if you would like a certificate of attendance. Either one, we will be having those for you here today. All right, Miss Lane, you want to roll with us? Right, our session goals and format, if you haven't joined us before. So again, we are here to share practical knowledge, give tools and resources to get you started. Please participate at whatever level that you are able. You're welcome to turn your cameras on, microphones on if you're asking a question. Feel free to chat with us at any time. Like I said, our team is here to help. You can access your chat at the bottom of your screen by just hovering over the icon. It'll pop open and then you'll be able to type a message. So feel free to chat at whatever level is good for you. All right, so at this time, I am going to pass over presentation to Lane, and she is going to give her very first presentation for us here at Bridging Voice. You got this, Lane.
So exciting. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody who's joined. So today on our agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about AAC and specifically Lite-Tech AAC. So the first question is, what is AAC? So it's augmentative and alternative communication. So augmentative means that it's going to anything that we might add to someone's speech, and then alternative would be to be used instead of or in replacement of speech. Some examples of the Lite-Tech that we're going to talk about today are ETRAN, iLink, a manual communication board and communication books, and then also writing. So some different options in terms of communication with writing.
You
So
leaving?
these,
All right, see you later.
this is, this graphic just gives us a visual to look at the many forms of AAC. In some cases, the form of AAC that we're going to talk about most today will be referred to as low-tech. You'll see it down on this end of the graphic here. But today we're going to refer to it as light-tech. So no-tech or light-tech might include gestures, facial expressions, writing, drawing, maybe even a single message button, communication books and communication boards. And then this AAC goes all the way up in terms of tech level, all the way up to eye gaze devices, which I'm sure many of you are very familiar with. But I do want to make a note that everybody who's using something up on this end of the graphic in terms of high tech should also have some form of low tech. available to them. So what is Lite-Tech AAC? Lite-Tech AAC is going to be any sort of communication method that's not electronic, but it does require some sort of equipment outside of one's body. It's an aided system, so it could be as simple as pen and paper, a board that you might use with your eyes and a communication partner, communication book that has lots of pages of things that you can use to communicate. So many people who use high tech also use low tech and should use low tech as well. Again, who needs Lite-Tech AAC? That's everybody. Everyone, even power eye gaze users, should have multiple Lite-Tech options available and at the ready at any moment. So why would we even be interested in AAC, Lite-Tech AAC? PALs. So estimates range between 80 and 96% of PALs will require some form of augmentative communication at some point in their journey with ALS. Frequently, volitional eye movement is maintained for the PALs, and therefore eye movement gives us one remaining method of communication that we can rely on. A variety of high-tech and light-tech eye movement communication methods exist that allow PALs to be able to spell out novel messages instead of being restricted to responding only to yes/no questions. According to a study that was done in 2001 by Doyle and Phillips, they said Lite-Tech AAC is actually preferred by PALs over high-tech systems, especially in end stages. High-tech systems are amazing, but they might be unavailable to people who are on hospice or in skilled nursing facilities or long-term care facilities. So unlike high-tech, Lite-Tech AAC is inexpensive, quickly attainable, doesn't malfunction. That's nice. And it's not considered a potential liability like in facilities and things of that nature. And again, I think one thing that's really important to remember is it allows for you to maintain your communication beyond high tech, but also just answering simple yes no questions as well. You might say, but I always have my caregiver around to assist, to translate for me, to help me interpret to an unfamiliar communication partner. But Lite-Tech AAC can increase your quality of life benefits, can also decrease your caregiver's burden, can help with reducing pain. That way you have a way to communicate that you are in pain without relying on something high tech. It also helps foster independence in your communication, being able to, again, not depend on a communication partner who is familiar with your method of communication to be able to communicate. And then it also can help and ensure your safety. So when do I need it? There might be times where environmental factors play a part in not having access to high tech. That might be when you're taking a shower. High tech and water do not mix, as we know. So you might then want to use some form of Lite-Tech AAC. When you are using the commode or toilet, even when you are transitioning and moving to those places, you might need some form of technology that's not available in terms of eye tracking or high tech. So you have this Lite-Tech as a backup method. If you have loss of power, how many people with the recent storms lost power? Natural disasters or even just heavy storms. I know, again, talking about some of the weather that we've all been experiencing, we've had ice, heavy storms, tons of rain, and those have left people without power and therefore without access to something that's electronic. Some of these will overlap. So we just talked about environmental things that may come up when you might need Lite-Tech AAC, but there are also circumstantial occurrences where you might need a Lite-Tech. during transfers, like we were talking about. This time, maybe water's not involved, but you're still transferring from your chair to your bed, but you have a message to communicate with your communication partners. Again, loss of power, if your device breaks down, if your device manufacturer says, hey, we're going to need you to send that in, and they may be sending you a temporary loaner, but in the meantime, for you to be able to maintain communication, you need a Lite-Tech option available to you. Also, hospital trips, where communication partners might be unfamiliar with your device. So maybe you have it and it's available to you, but your communication partner is not familiar with that communication method. These Lite-Tech options provide something that's easier potentially to understand, and it doesn't involve technology. Just a few examples of some of the pals that we work with here at Bridging Voice who have used these Lite-Tech communication methods, this Lite-Tech AAC. One in particular, Trinity shared, one of her pals, was going to the hospital. And when he was going to the hospital, he made sure that a manual communication board, which is a form of Lite-Tech AAC, was attached to him with a safety pin. Maybe I've worked with people in the past who have used a Lite-Tech option with partner-assisted scanning, which we'll talk a little bit more about in detail, on days when illness causes them to be unable to open their eyes. I had a client at one point who had severe seasonal allergies and was unable to open their eyes when their seasonal allergies flared up. And so then they resorted to partner-assisted scanning with their communication partners. It's just so important that you always have some form of backup to your high tech. And the main purpose is so that you can maintain that communication no matter the circumstance. So now we're going to go into like some of these different forms of the Lite-Tech AAC. And we'll start with written communication. So these are just some examples of written communication that might be considered Lite-Tech AAC that someone may use. So pen and paper. We all know pen and paper. It's readily available. These are pros. Pros might be that it's readily available and inexpensive. Cons might be it gets messy. You run out of it at an inopportune moment. You lose track of it, or you have difficulty grasping a writing utensil. So that's what this is for. A solution for that might be adding tube grip to build up that whatever you're using to write to make that grasp a little bit more easy if that's something that you are going to be using for your Lite-Tech AAC. Reusable notebooks. I think these are amazing, in my personal opinion. I like them because it helps me kind of decrease my paper clutter. Maybe we're saving a few trees, I hope. They're readily available. They're fairly inexpensive, like $20 to $45 with these bundles. This is a specific brand name. A Rocketbook. Cons might be they do kind of get messy. You're going to use a wet microfiber is the word I was looking for. Microfiber towel to erase your messages. But then you could also use, they have a built-in app so you could scan it and upload it to high-tech technology if you wanted to keep up with it. Your note. Again, they can be messy. You might lose track of it. The pen might die. You might have to replace it. They do have specific pens that work with it. So you can write out your message. It is an erasable pen, but again, you can then wipe it away and then reuse it. A dry erase board. Everybody has these handy. They're not super expensive. We were talking about it the other day. You can pick one up at the now $1.25 store, so not terribly expensive. That's a pro. It's easily transportable. They're readily available. There's no extra tech batteries. Cons might be you might accidentally erase your message. How many times have you been writing on a whiteboard and you accidentally swipe your arm across and erase your message? You might lose the markers or the boards. Where can I get this? They're available on Amazon, at the Dollar Tree, any sort of big box store. Again, they're readily available and fairly inexpensive. So you can have many, many. You can have one in the bathroom, you can have one in the living room, in the car, um, all over. Take it with you. Um, an LCD writing tablet, more commonly referred to as a boogie board. There are some other versions of this that are an LCD writing tablet. Again, you're just going to use that to write out your message, whatever it is that you wanted to say. They're also readily available. You can get them for like $5 at stores, Amazon, all of these local like big box stores. They're reusable, which is nice. They're not messy because you're using that specific stylus to write on the board. Or you could use your fingernail even, or Trinity was saying, I've had people flip a ring around and use that. So anything hard that could essentially scratch the surface to write your message would be there. Again, they're inexpensive. You can have lots of them around. You can throw one in a bag, take it with you for easy access. So the next group of Lite-Tech is going to be pre-printed communication boards and books. The biggest thing with any of these pre-printed communication books or boards is you want to first determine how are you going to access it. And then the second thing you'll want to do is determine how you will confirm your message. So access, you might point to what you want to say. You might use your eyes to gaze at what you would like to communicate, or you might be using partner-assisted scanning. You might point with any body part, toe, a nose, a finger, your eyes again. A stylus, you might be using a stylus, or even a laser pointer. If you're using your eyes, communication partner will watch where your gaze goes. And then in just a second, we're going to talk about how we're going to confirm that. So how will you confirm? Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. You might close your eyes. You might open your eyes. You might raise your eyebrows. You might smile. You might frown. You might change your head movement. So to your right might be yes, to your left might be no. It might be a thumbs up or a thumbs down if that's still available to you. I once had a client who would make a movement to their right side if that was yes, and then a movement to the left if that was no. Again, it may be a head nod or turn. It could even just be looking in a general direction to confirm that. Next, I'm going to show you a video of my beautiful colleagues, Trinity and Annie, showing you what partner-assisted scanning looked like.
Lane, did you share with audio?
Oh, I did not. Thank you. Hold. Thank you, Trinity.
ALS does not have access to their eye tracker. Manual communication boards are essential and should be used daily. The communication partner will hold the communication board so that the person with ALS can see it. The communication partner will call out the options on the board so that the PALs can express their message. The PALs will indicate yes as the choices are called out. The yes response should be easy for the PALs to do and easy for the communication partner to recognize. Trinity will demonstrate some examples of yes responses if a traditional head nod is not possible. Eyebrow raise, hard blink, gaze up, gaze side to side. The board has two sides. One is an alphabet side that can be used to spell messages. There is a line at the bottom of the board for the communication partner to write letters selected to keep track of what is being spelled. The other side is a category board that has categories and phrases to quickly communicate routine needs. You'll see there are blank lines where you can add your own messages, or you can contact us to create a fully custom board. We will now demonstrate how to use both sides of the board. Trinity, tell me how you're going to say yes. Okay, I see a hard blink, so that's how you'll indicate yes. Okay. Please spell your message. Where is the letter? A row? Hard blink, so it's in the A row. A, B, C, hard blink, so the first letter is C. Where's the next letter? A row, E row, I row, O row, U row, hard blank, U, hard blank again, U, C, U. What's the next letter? A row, E row, I row, O row, O, P, P, C, U, P. Is the message cup? A hard blank. Do you need a cup of water? Hard blank, yes. Okay, do you have more to tell me? Hard blank, yes. Okay, A row, A, B, C, D, space, category board, turn over. Yes, hard blank. So I will turn the board over. We will select a message from the categories and phrases. Where is your message? Needs, position, hard blank for position, bed, chair, up, down, hard blank. An up, down has two, so I will ask again. Up, down, hard blank, down. Do you need to be moved down? Hard blank, yes, move down. Any other messages? No response, no.
So again, you'll see that first was established what the yes confirmation would be. And then as Annie went through, she then confirmed Trinity's message. Excuse me. And so again, confirming that what the response is going to be, and then confirming the message is always super important. The next thing that we're going to talk about will be the core word board. So core vocabulary refers to words that we use all the time. So these words make up about 80% of the phrases and sentences that we speak. These core boards are boards that you can print out, and so that you can have easy access to common words that you might want to put together to communicate a message. So these words are commonly grouped together into categories with color coding. So that just helps one kind of learn where those desired words are within the core board and then bring the eye to it as well. There are tons and tons of these boards that are available, some of them with many words and some with fewer words. So some pros of that might be that it's easily transportable. It's wipeable. Typically they're laminated, so they're easy to wipe down. There's, again, no extra tech or batteries that you have to have it handy to use it. Some cons might be that it could limit spontaneous communication, and they're not customized. So they may not be high priority words or targets for you, and they may or may not be culturally representative either. So where can I get these core word boards? They're available potentially at your ALS clinic. Toby and Smartbox websites have core boards that are available to you. There are many, many websites that have core word boards that can be printed, often for free or the cost of printing materials. Now, you might have seen some of the cons within the things that we've talked about in terms of Lite-Tech so far might get misplaced. So the next thing we want to do is talk a little bit about like some tips and tricks so that they don't get lost. So don't lose those boards. You can attach them to a retractable keychain or a retractable badge holder. Trinity gave a great suggestion about Velcroing the board to the footboard of a hospital bed. You could attach it to a lanyard, or like our pals that we discussed earlier when he was going to the hospital, used something as simple as a safety pin to attach it to clothing so it wouldn't get lost or misplaced. Another tip would be to have a sign up for if you have caregivers who are coming and going in shifts. Have a sign up. Please get my manual communication board. It's in the medication cart. It's on my nightstand. Make sure that you say, request that you have the manual communication board, and then also where you keep it stored. So we talked about communication boards, but now I want to talk about communication books. So a board is just a single layer. It may be double-sided, but it's a single layer. And a book is going to have many pages, potentially, with different categories of information. This might be more appropriate for somebody who had a lot to talk about, or for somebody who maybe needs less words on a page for them to access at a time. Typically, the first page is going to be an index of sorts. So telling you what page and categories to go to talk about specific things that you might want to. And a lot of times they'll also have, you can kind of see on the side tabs here with that specific category. Some pros of a communication book might be that it allows you to talk about more things. You can also purchase these off the shelf or have them more customized to your needs versus some of the boards, the core boards, that aren't necessarily customized. They're using those common words. So these are more customization friendly. Con might be a communication partner needs to be trained on how to use this particular communication book. So sometimes you might spend a lot of time training someone on how it's used before you can then actually be communicating together. Where can I get a communication book? Ally Med has a communication book that's already built and prepared. It's about $44. Also on the Tobii Dynavox website, they have a Core First communication book that's free to print. So again, the cost of printing materials, but then you'll have a whole book of things to communicate. A manual communication board, again, which my colleagues demonstrated so nicely. Typically, a manual communication board will have the alphabet available to you and numbers. On the front side of the bridging voice, we have letters and numbers. And then on the flip side, the categories and then phrases. Again, these are customizable. What's nice about these is it allows you to generate anything that you want to say. You can come up with something new to say every time. So manual communication boards, pros and cons. Pros might be it's readily available, and guess what? It's free from Bridging Voice. There's no tech or batteries to use it, and it's customizable. Again, if you see the board and you want it customized with some of your very own phrases, if you think I'm never going to say XYZ, but I say this all the time and I want it added to my manual communication board, we can customize that for you. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Another thing that's really cool about the Bridging Voice board is it's already created for you in both Spanish and English, and it's available through our website. What are the cons? None. There really aren't any cons associated with it. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Patient-Provider Communication Network. They are an interactive website and social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram. Those may be the only two, but then also a website, again, for resources and tools. So the whole point of the Patient-Provider Communication Network is it's a place where you can have conversations about a range of topics, making sure that there's a patient-centered communication program in a hospital, making sure that people with communication needs have emergency preparedness, and access to communication within the ICU. They also address cultural humility and patient-centered care, and they make sure that you have the resources available to you for patient care and safety. Again, just a really nice resource in terms of communication tools and materials that's free. Every piece of it is free to access and then print for your needs. You can also create, yes, ma'am.
Wayne, before you go on, I wanted to jump in and share that Antoinette shared with us that she's always been a fan of the Mega B. She said it's a bit pricey, but if someone is using low-tech spelling a lot, that it can be a good tool. So I went ahead and she shared the link, and we'll make sure that that link goes in our big list of links that will get to come out to you all at the very end. So if you're not able to keep up with these as these links are being put in, don't worry, you're going to get them in an after visit summary, as well as they will be listed on our YouTube channel. So you'll always be able to come to those links as a resource.
Thank you, Antoinette. Antoinette's always super for additional resources. Thank you. So you can also then create Lite-Tech communication boards from your high-tech solutions. So if you have a high-tech AAC device that you're using, you can print right from your speech generating device. Why would you want to do that? Well, they're already customized to you and you already know where everything is. So it's nice to be able to have that ability to print that out again with something that you're familiar with and you know where all the things that you might want to say is already located. So how do I print from my communication software? For grid 3, you're going to go to the 3-line menu up in the top left corner. And I will say this will have to be accessed by touch. This is not accessible by eye tracking. So you go to the 3-line menu. Then you'll go to print.
Where's John?
You can print the selected grids. Here you get a drop-down menu if you want to print just the current grid, or then you can go to and select multiple grids to print. Then click print and you're done. What if I use Communicator 5? Not a problem. So you'll long press on the screen that you want to print and your menu will come up here. You'll go to File. Oh, I'm sorry, let me go back. File to print, and then print selected grid. I will say the only caveat with Communicator 5 is that you will not be able to print any of the buttons that are already, any of the pages that have buttons that are programmed, like your keyboards or your phrases and things of that nature. But if it's a board that was created specifically for you, then you should be able to print that. I use TD Snap. How do I print from my communication software? In TD Snap, You're going to go to the edit icon up in the top right corner. You're going to select the Page tab and then select Print Pages and Print. And then here you can select the pages that you would like to print. Then they give you lots of print options as well. Do you want the message bar to be included in your printout? Do you want the toolbar? Do you want the link visualizations if it has a link that it's going to? You can select or deselect any of those and then print. You'll want to make sure that your printer for all of these is configured your printer, configured to print from your device, and then you can print. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Lite-Tech eye gaze communication boards. So boards to this point, we've had multiple methods of access, but these boards are eye gaze in its Lite-Tech form. Two examples of Lite-Tech eye gaze communication boards are ETRAN and Island. ETRAN is the eye transfer board. It's a communication device that's intended for use by people with limited body movement and speech who still have good eye control. It's similar in concept to a pointing board, but the difference is that the user is going to be using their eyes instead of fingers. I want you to notice that the partner who is and/or the receiver of the message is looking through the board at the communication partner. And again, we're going to establish what is going to be their response. They're going to be gazing. And then we're going to, again, make sure that we have the confirmation that we have received the message correctly. Here is a demonstration of using an ETRAN.
Hello, I'm a speech language therapist from the Compass AAC service, and I'm going to be showing you in this video how to use a letter ETRAN frame. This is the frame that we're going to be using today. It's a useful tool for people who can't point to a chart, but they do have reliable eye movement. On this chart, you can see that I've got the letters on both sides of the frame, and that's always important whenever you're using eye pointing, is so that you both know what you're going to be looking at. The letters on the alphabet chart or on the alphabet board are colours coded, so they're grouped into these different categories. The user has to first indicate the group of letters, and then they have to select the corresponding colour. So, for example, if somebody was wanting to select the letter A, they would look first to the corner where A is in, and then they would have to select again the green, because that's the colour that the letter is. So we're going to show you now in a quick demonstration how to do this. In this video, we're going to demonstrate how to use a letter ETRAN frame. Just to say that I have got a whiteboard in front of me, so that I can write down the letters that Samir is going to select, just because it's helpful so that you can confirm with the person that you're communicating with. Okay, what would you like to do next, or where would you like to go? Can you tell me? Okay, so you're looking in this top corner. Can you show me what colour? Looks like you're looking at the yellow. So the letter that you've selected is B. Okay, I'll write that down. Ooh. Next letter. Okay, so you're looking back up into this corner. What colour? Okay, it looks like you're selecting the black. So that would make that E. So you can see I've just put it on my board here. And then next letter. Okay, top corner again. What colour? Pink. Okay, looks like you're selected D. Is there any more? Okay, it looks like you've selected the no. Can you show me that again? No. So the last letter is D. You spelt out the word bed. Is that correct? Great.
So some pros for the ETRAN is that it would allow one to communicate with a partner with just eye movement. Again, we're taking out any of the pointing or any sort of high tech. You're just communicating with your eyes. Again, there's no extra batteries or tech involved. Cons might be that it requires a partner to decode your message. It is super handy to have a whiteboard or a notebook or something like that to write down the message as the communication partner is composing their message. Communication partners do have to be trained in its use, and it can be a little confusing. It's multi-step, which can sometimes be a little bit more involved than some of the other communication methods. However, a lot of PALs prefer this in terms of a method of communication in terms of Lite-Tech AAC. It's large. It's not necessarily easily transportable, not as easily transported as some of those written methods that we were looking at earlier that you could throw into a bag. But still a very good option in terms of Lite-Tech. So where can I get it? So there is a lowtechsolutions.org that has it in their store. Their prices range from $90 to $130. Or if you are handy, I am not, you could potentially make one DIY. There are instructions for you. This particular one, there are lots out there, but this particular one comes from the Adult Speech Therapy Workbook.com. Again, I want to go back for just a second though and reiterate the fact that we have to make sure that we are confirming communication partner's message and making sure that we have an established way to communicate that yes, that is in fact what I was saying to you. The next Lite-Tech AAC is iLink. It is also a clear board that you use eye gaze. What happens is the receiver stands on the one side and the communication partner on the other. They're going to gaze at whatever letter they would like to choose, and the receiver is going to then move the board until the eyes link with the communication partner.
Here is an example of an iLink board being used to spell out a word. In this example, Gemma is going to spell out the word water. First, Gemma will look at the letter W. Then, Faye will move the board until their eyes meet.
W.
Gemma will now spell out the rest of the word.
A. T. E. R. Water.
So some of the pros for an iLink board, again, it allows you to communicate with just eye movement when there's no tech involved. The cons, again, it requires the partner to decode the message. But again, if you have that established response of, yes, that is the message that I'm communicating with you, it's a lot easier. But again, it's something that a communication partner does have to be trained in. Where can I get it? northernspeech.com has an iLink available for $30, or again, if you are super handy, there is a DIY instructions available to you. So Lite-Tech AAC is essentially any communication method that you might use that is not electronic, but it does require some form of equipment outside of one's body, whether that be a communication board, core board, a communication book, or ETRAN or iLink. any of those. So anything that is not electronic, but it does require something outside of one's body. There are tons of versions of Lite-Tech available: notebooks, boogie boards, dry erase. Again, the ones that we just talked about in terms of eyes for access. There are many ways to and access Lite-Tech AAC, whether that be writing, pointing, partner-assisted scanning, or eye gaze. The biggest thing is everyone needs it. Every single person who is using a high-tech AAC system should also have a Lite-Tech system in place. Backups are necessary so that you can maintain that communication in all of your environments, no matter the circumstances. And have tons and tons of them available to you. So if you are still able to write, have a notebook, have a reusable notebook, have a boogie board, have a dry erase board, or have a manual communication board in addition to all of those. Just make sure you have something in place.
All right. Thank you, Lane. Okay, we're going to do a couple little housekeeping things before we get on to our Q&A. Thank you so much for your presentation today. I am going to drop the attendance link in the chat right now. If you're from Maryland or New Jersey, OTPT, and you would like to have a CEU certificate, please fill this out. If you're from another state or another profession and you would also like to have a attendance form, you are welcome to fill that out as well. And we will get those to you within the next week or so. Just to let you know again, all of our information that Lane shared today is going to come to you guys in an after visit email. And as always, if you ever have any questions about our Maryland initiative, our New Jersey initiative, info regarding Bridging Voice, or any of our other free services, because all of our services are free, you're always welcome to reach out to us, as well as to sign up for further training. So we've got many, many more coming in 2024. Some really good stuff. As well as I am also sharing a link to our YouTube channel where you can find all of our past trainings. And if you miss one, you can always grab one in the future. So I popped all of those into the chat for you. So at this time, Lane, if you'd like to stop sharing, you guys are welcome to turn on your cameras, turn on your audio, ask any questions that you might like verbally or in the chat, whatever access method is best for you. We have a ton of PALs that are here today, as well as CALs and other professionals who can answer questions regarding your Lite-Tech. So we're here and open and ready for your questions. And or to share if you have any tricks or tips as well. I definitely see some good familiar faces on here. It's good to see you. Antoinette did share another one in case you guys didn't see it in the chat, which again, I will make sure for it to go into the link. Oh, another souped up low tech option is called the Speak book, SPEAK book. And I am going to share that link. And she said it's available in 12 languages. It's awesome.
That is awesome.
That is really, really good. Does anybody else have any other strategies for what they use for their Lite-Tech communication? I love this. Eddie just said, Lite-Tech doesn't have to be slow. Very true. See Jason Becker and his dad zipping along speedily with a YouTube video. Lite-Tech does not mean that it is slow. And that is why I think a lot of us like moving away from that term of low tech, the assumption that it's of low nature or low quality, because it is not. Ooh, Nahum, yes. Nahum says, attach an Apple tag to your manual communication board. That way, if it walks away in a facility, you will find it. And Antoinette says, absolutely, yes. Once people memorize the grid, it's like magic. It absolutely is. To watch like two people partner scan It is amazing. They don't even need a board. They don't have to see it. They just A-E-I-O-U, and then they just go across. It is wild how fast it
Yeah,
can absolutely go.
I had one pals who he and his sister were just so in sync. They didn't have a board, she didn't write anything down. They were, yep, just so in sync. They were so fast.
I also think too, Antoinette brought up a really nice conversation that we were kind of just having, discussing about posting in your room, for example, if you end up going to the hospital or end up going someplace, posting in your room ways that you communicate, making sure that you have a sign that's like, this is my yes, this is my no, and this is my maybe. Anybody who walks into the room can know how you communicate. Anyone who walks in the room can know that you use a communication board or you use something high tech. As Lane said, my pals who just honestly pinned like his communication board to his chest, and it said right on the front of it, I cannot verbally communicate. I want to make all my own decisions, and this is how I say yes, no. And it was a piece of paper that was laminated that he pinned to the front of his chest. That really helped because when people are in a hurry trying to help you, you have care providers coming in and out of a room. They don't oftentimes stop to listen and take that time to work through your communication strategies. And I've seen a lot of people recently posting about how they've lost power and now their pals, their loved one can no longer communicate. I can't say it enough. You know, taking printing off your communication boards from your high-tech communication device is such a great strategy for you. Just dropping them into a sheet protector so that you've got them. And, you know, worst case scenario, you could use them to help you rebuild your computer or to communicate it when you're needed.
I
Malcolm,
want to mention something that
yeah.
it's always important to have, you know, as much communication as you can, but it's also important to just have the things that you absolutely need when you need them. I'm constantly recommending people have a very small communication board of maybe 5 to 6 or 7 things that they need at 3 a.m. So this way, they don't have to come and bring a high-tech device, start calibrations, and wake up the whole house. There's only 6 or 7 things that someone may need at 3 a.m. So just have that on a communication board. That helps for transfers, helps for being in the shower, and just a very simple way of getting rid of a lot of frustration.
Absolutely. And I can't stress how many times we've had pals share with us, you know, the only time that they've been hurt is actually when they didn't have access to communication. And so that oftentimes can happen like during a transfer or something. You're in a Hoyer, someone doesn't realize that your hand is actually stuck in a chain or in an uncomfortable position. So having a way for you to alert to say, hey, I need my, you know, my transfer board, like to communicate about something right now. And again, you're probably not going to be talking about the weather or the stock market exchange while you're in the middle of this transfer, but having some very quick things like my hand, I'm in pain, or something that somebody really quickly can respond to really reduces your stress, improves your safety, as well as reducing stress of your caregiving partner. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions at this time? Hands or unmute or anything? All right. Thank you all for joining us today. Oh, are the videos available? Krista, videos regarding, you're welcome to just say it out loud if you'd like. The video, which videos?
I assume from this presentation, right?
The
So
Demonstration videos.
yes, those examples of using the
The ETRAN and the iLink.
those, yes.
Okay, I will be happy to include the links to those videos in our follow-up email so that you'll have all of those listed.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to end our recording now. Just a little shout out to our friends on YouTube. If you're joining us on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Feel free to subscribe to our channel, like us, and follow us for more. And I will go ahead and say goodbye to our YouTube friends.